Earlier this week, I had the honor and pleasure to interview on my podcast one of my favorite people in the world, Mr. Sergio Tavares. And not only is he an unbelievable salesperson, probably the best one I've ever met, but he's an unbelievable leader, and his team will do whatever it takes to go to war for him. All right, Mr. Sergio Tavares, we are live right now, but when this goes live, it's not live. You know what I mean? I always tell the people this. So it's June 20th, 2022. It's a beautiful day. You're in Miami. I'm in Atlanta.
It's a beautiful day, and even if it's not a beautiful day, it's a beautiful day, bro. Don't you know that?
Beautiful, especially on Mondays. You know, I took like a 20-minute nap right before this. I had just tons of calls, and now we're live with you. I'm excited to have you on, and you're excited to have me on. We were kind of battling with how we're gonna do this, and not really battling, I should say, but we were figuring out how this is gonna work out. I told Sergio, I think a lot of people have seen your beautiful face. They've been coached by you. I mean, the amount of impact you've made in this industry is like actually insane. I don't think you sit there and realize it. It's literally thousands of people that you change your life, but people don't know your story. They don't know where you came from. And because you're so selfless, you care so much more about people than you care about yourself. It's probably what got you this far. With Mr. Sergio, what I want to do, let's talk about you today. How do we get to live in this beautiful pad? $5,000 per month, Miami penthouse. I mean, it's one of the nicest penthouses I've ever been to, especially Miami, because like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that was definitely not the case.
No. By the way, mate, you know this is going to be hard for me, bro, because you know I'd never talk about myself.
I know, so we're going to squeeze it out. We're going to squeeze it out, guys.
Squeeze it out.
I want to take it back, man. We don't have to take it back to when you were 5 years old and 10 years old, childhood stuff, but I do want to get to like how you got into the marketing space specifically, because you know you did coach me at one point, but again, this was not something you were doing 15, 20 years ago. You weren't born into wealth.
No, I was actually born super broke. But in order for me to get the marketing stuff, I had to kind of start from like early on. And by the way, bro, you're gonna have to poke, because you know, for me to talk about myself, I'm gonna redirect and throw it right back at you. But here's what I'll tell you, bro. Actually, let me ask you a question before we dive in. Did you always know you were a little bit different? In an unegoistic, like no ego, not like, oh my God, I'm better, because no one's better or worse than anyone else, right? But wasn't there always something in you that was like, I'm meant for a little bit more? I
didn't know that until I moved to the US, and then I was like, yo, I'm fucking different. This is Jewish kids. I speak 2 different languages. I did not realize that in Israel, we're all taught the same thing. We grew up the same. We go to the same synagogue, all that stuff, and then you move here and everything is different. So I felt it at 11 years old here. So yeah, what about you? Always,
but not like I'm better than anyone. No. I just feel like there's some people that they feel that their service to the world is greater than what the majority of people have. And notice how I use the word service, because that's ultimately what I am trying to convey. But bro, for me, when I was younger, I think of my life in like phases. For me, when I was younger, bro, it was just straight baseball. That was my only thing. It's like, I just wanted to be baseball. I wanted to be a baseball player. It wasn't like I would wake up 5 a.m, like 6 years old, 7 years old, and go play baseball for like 12 hours. And there was a moment, you'll love this, Omir, because you came from a third world country. I couldn't afford a baseball bat. My bat broke, and it was already a hand-me-down bat. So in order for me to like get the bat, I started selling shit. So like I would go to like the corner store bodega, buy like baseball cards for like $6 or whatever. And then this is important. It's like a little bit of a business lesson, bro. But I would walk like 20, 30 minutes away, like 7 years old, bro, to like a richer area, like Long Island or some shit. And they had money. So I knew that if I could probably charge like 4 or 5 times what I paid for it. And I didn't think of it like this, but I knew that I can get more out of them. Bro, I did that for like a year, and I saved up like $400 or $500, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're 8 years old, like $400 or $500, it's like
$30,000.
I thought I was a millionaire.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did that for a while. I bought a bat, bought a glove, got the whole thing, and I thought I was like the one. I was like, all right, it's time. It's baseball mode. But in my area, and I probably mentioned this to you, but in my area, there wasn't any little league. They just like, it was too hood. There's no little league in my area. It was like not the best area to grow up in. And so what you would have to do is leave the zone that you're in to play. But for whatever reason, that area did not accept my zone. So I couldn't play baseball, at least not with the kids. So I had to kind of play it on my own. But this is where like the tragedy to triumph comes in. Keep in mind, bro, I know it's like a baseball story, but like all I wanted to do was play baseball. And business was like secondary. Business was like, I didn't even know it was business. It was more like I would do these things to get that. So now I'm like 9 or 10 years old. And bro, what I did is I started coaching. This is when I got to coaching. I think this is part of what made me a good coach. I would coach people who were a little bit older than me, maybe like 13, 14 years old. And again, I chose the market well. I would go to like the areas that they all had money, and I would convince their parents to help me coach their like sons. And
how would that work if you're the younger, like if you came to my house and you're younger than me, I would have to think you're way better than me.
Because I was there. I was in the parks 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning ish. And I wouldn't leave till like late at night. So they always would see me like swinging. They would see me in practice. I just couldn't play. So like, oh, that kid is good. Like, who is that kid? And I also was bigger. So I looked like I'm older.
Yeah.
Bro, but I did that to like, I made a couple $1,000 consistently doing that, like training little kids. And I don't know, bro. That was kind of my first taste of biz. And that's when I realized I could marry what I like with business, which I still do. Because you know my philosophy, bro, I make business fun. That's something you can like, that's part of what, I think that's where it started from actually. I just always, business was fun for me.
Yeah. I think it's meant for everybody, because when Sergio says business is fun for him, he doesn't mean the fun part that everybody likes, the cash collected, the records. No. He likes the chaos.
The solving the problem.
The solving the problems, the clients complaining, the chargeback, like the crazy shit that most people stress about. Sergio makes that fun. I've been on calls with him and I'm like, dude, I'm very much like you. I think me and you have this. I get stressed, and I see how you make it fun, and I think it's because you came from a game, and I think you fell in love with a game, right? Baseball. Yeah. And then business is a sport. It is a sport. It's our sport. We weren't meant to be athletes. So then you didn't go to college, right?
Dude, I dropped out of high school.
Talk to me about that, because that's crazy. I did not realize that.
Yeah, I was a high school drop. I went to college after, because I got my GED just to like make my mom feel good.
Why did you drop out of high school? Like, what was it about high school?
I was making a lot. I don't want to say a lot of money, but a lot of money for like a kid. And I just didn't feel like, bro, I feel like I would waste my time. It was like I would show up, and I was actually not a bad student by any means. Like I was that kid that would never go to school, but when I would take a test, I'd get like a 90. But I never cared. Like, it was not it for me. It just didn't feel like, it just felt like a waste. So, dude, I dropped out in 9th grade.
That's wild.
Savage. But it helped because I was forced. This is my actual belief on it now. Most people, their beliefs on life are instilled primarily in like high school. And they take those beliefs from high school and they go on and live about their life from the beliefs they've cultivated in high school. For me, because I didn't have anyone tell me what to think, what to be, what to believe, anything like that in high school, I was like an empty vessel. I was like, so enabled me to create and instill the beliefs that I knew I wanted to be the person I wanted to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you were 14 years old. So like,
I was 15.
15, but still 15. You're young.
Yeah, but keep in mind, I've already been making money for like 6 years. So, and I was always talking. Yeah. I was already talking to like adults. Yeah. I was already like going like. One thing that helped me is I was always really good at learning from other people's mistakes. I'll tell you a story that happened to me in like 5th grade, bro, that never left my mind, or maybe it was 6th grade, but it was like the year before, or like a year and a half before getting into high school. And this is part of what made me drop out of school. So this is key. There was a kid, Omir. He was my best friend growing up. His name was George Ledesma. I'll never forget him. George, if you ever watch this, I love you, bro. I don't even know where he's at right now. But bro, George's mom died from cancer in like 3rd grade. And for the last few years, he would get bullied just because his mom died from cancer, which is stupid, right? And I was cool with George, but I was also, because I was kind of cool with everyone. So I was cool with George, but I was also cool with like the bullies. And so I would just kind of like, float, right? But the bullies would always pick on George, and I lived in Queens, and he lived in Brooklyn, and he would like 20 minutes away. He would take the train and literally get beat up, get jumped every single day. He would go home to a motherless house, just his older brother who was like 17 or 18 at the time, bleeding. And I used to see him do this every day, and I'm like, he would call me after like, and that bothered me, bro. So one day, I decided to stand up for him. Because I think he was going through such a shitty experience in his life that he just like, you know, when you're at your lows, like you deal with life's bullshit that comes your way. You just take it. He was at that phase where he was just taking it. He was just taking the abuse. So anyway, I took a train at like, I don't know, 13 years old, the opposite direction of where I live, just to make sure he didn't get beat up that day. And that was the first time in weeks, bro. And I was a big dude. The first time in weeks where he didn't get jumped by these kids. Anthony, I don't want to say his last name but that was the leader of the bully group. First time in weeks that he didn't get beat up. On the way back, I dropped him off his house. I hopped the train again, went back home. On the way back, I met this older dude, this old man. And this old man like radically changed my perspective on life, Omir. I think it was, and maybe this is not true, but maybe this is what I've told myself. Because I did a good deed, the world tried to reward me with a life lesson that like was more advanced than what my age allowed for. But I randomly stumbled across this old man, and I was always good at like talking to older people. I talked to more older people than I did like kids. But this dude, he was like, I don't know, 80 years old or something, and his wife had died. So keep in mind, this is like an interesting day for me, bro. My friend's mom dies of cancer years before. For years, he's getting bullied. I stop him from getting bullied. I almost get jumped myself in the process. We get away from them. I hop the train again, take the train 20 or 30 minutes back, and I come across this old man who tells me his wife died like, you know, not that long ago. And I'm just like having this conversation with him. And I don't think I asked the right questions. I just didn't know. But he wound up spewing. He's like, regret is the biggest pain in the world. We don't regret the things that we did. We regret the things that we didn't do. And I have so much that I wanted to tell my wife that I didn't. And like, he's like, you know, when you could see sadness in someone's eyes, you know what I'm talking about? Bro, his eyes like didn't tear up. He didn't cry, but you could see like the sparkle, pain. You could read it in his eyes. And so, and I don't know what it was about that conversation, that moment. It just freaking changed everything for me. And so like years later, when I'm thinking back, sitting back in high school on the desk, I'm just thinking about that line of like, we don't regret the things that we do in life. We regret the things that we didn't do. I'm like, what am I doing right now that I'm going to regret? I'm just sitting down in this class, not learning a single thing, when I just know in my heart it's not for me. And like a week later, I dropped out.
Dude, that's crazy. But what'd your mom say? Because I know you lived with her. Was she like, what the?
Bro, you know, she was like, I want you to be a doctor or a lawyer or something, you know.
Yeah.
But
because your mom's an immigrant, right?
Yeah.
So for her, like, school was everything.
School was everything, and I was also I was getting good grades up until high school. So it was like a complete 180. It threw her off. As bad as it sounds, bro, I kind of told her she don't really have a choice. It's like, I just told her, huh?
Yeah. She couldn't really force you to go to school.
No, it was just more like, Mom, I'm gonna do my thing. Trust, don't worry about it. Like I knew in my heart, like it was the right move to get out. But I will say this, like a year and a half, 2 years later, I got my GED to please her, and I went to school. I went to college, and then with like a few credits short of graduating, I dropped out again. My body, bro, my body does not like graduations. I don't know what it is, but I was a few credits short, bro. It was like a movie. I stood up in class. I don't know what it was the teacher said that just annoyed me. And you know me, bro. I don't get annoyed easily. So she said something. It was like one of my professors or whatever. She said something that just like didn't feel. She called me. She was like, "What are your thoughts on this?" And whatever she asked just was not it. It was like, I stood up. I said, "Hey, with all respect, Mrs. Blah blah. I don't remember her name. This is not for me. Wish you guys all luck." And I walked out the class, bro. A few credits short of graduating. So this is the second time I dropped out. But after that is when I started the agency.
So this was what must have been like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, a decade ago, right?
Yeah.
So then you started the
Yeah.
agency that early, like 2000.
I was already doing like a few different, I don't want to say businesses because they weren't like popping off, but like different side
Yeah,
hustles.
yeah.
All of them were doing okay. And that's the problem. They were all doing okay. So it was hard for me to choose because they were all like making good money. Like the agency was probably doing like 20K, but I was doing like real estate wholesaling stuff that was making money. So I was like, it was all kind of working.
It's crazy, bro. You've been making money for a long time. Like, I don't think you realize. I mean, I think you realize that, but I think a lot of people don't realize that about you. Like, this is not your first rodeo. I think you're starting to pop off, but people start hearing you about you. You know, the ads you were telling me about. So they don't really know you, but you've been making money longer than most people have been in business, especially in our industry, the marketing agencies place, or even e-commerce. So it's very interesting. So you started the agency, real estate, all that stuff. At what point? Because I don't want to skip forward to when I met you back in 2019. But like, at what point did it really start taking off? Where you started focusing on that? Because I do know that at one point you did make that decision. You're like, yo, I'm gonna go all in on this agency. Forget the other stuff.
There was a period of time. That's a great question, bro. There was a period of time where I had like 3 or 4 businesses at once. And it was like operating 3 or 4 different team meetings. All of them were doing like 6-figure run rates, combined probably like 7-figure run rates. But it was like split focus. So
The worst.
yeah, dude. It's actually a funny story. So I wound up getting like a $20,000 contract or something, like a deal in the agency. And that's when I just said, all right, I'm gonna focus. Really just because of that. It wasn't anything, I just chose it. But I was also, and this is gonna sound egoistic, but I promise it's not. I was also convinced that any business would have worked as long as I gave it enough energy and effort, because I don't think I know all the answers. I just trust my ability to figure things out. So I was like, all right, it doesn't matter really what I do, it's gonna work. And I think that's what helped me choose, because what happens to a lot of people who get started in business, they're trying Amazon, they're trying drop shipping, they're trying marketing agencies, e-com stuff. They think the model is the key. I thought it was me focusing on me was the key. So I didn't really care what model or like business industry or whatever I got into. I was just like, it's going to work. But I got close a big client. That's what helped me kind of narrow down the agency. And then, bro, in the agency, no, actually. So, bro, I don't know if you know, but in the agency, we scaled up pretty quick, like 80K a month, and like fired all my clients.
Which agency? This is not the roofing one.
This is the roofing one.
Oh, the roofing one. Okay, so you scaled it to 80K and then you fired all your clients?
Bro, so the inside of the roofing agency, we actually scaled it. Like, it was like 2 or 3 months that it hit like 80K after like saying, okay, I'm gonna do agency stuff.
Yeah.
So it was like, it scaled it pretty quick, but we were literally in like 8 different niches, offering like 4 different services. It was like all over the place. And then I had a conversation with the guy. His name is John Logar, who was like, bro, you're too smart. There's always moments in life, Omir, by the way. There's like a handful of moments in life where you look back at conversations or you look back at situations and it's like, okay, there was that was a moment that like changed the game for me. For me, it was that one conversation. He's like, you're too smart for the revenue you're at. He didn't say anything else. That's all he said. You're too smart for the revenue you're at. And I think I went after, like, it was a Zoom call. And after that conversation, I was like, what does he mean by that? Like, what's the difference? What is he like? What's different from what everyone else is doing who has bigger numbers? What are they doing differently? And I realized there was the power of focus, because you could work hard, right? But if you're working hard on 12 different things, you're only going to get so far. So for me, I said, all right, I got to change this. And again, it boiled down to the same sort of trust that I had in myself to figure things out. Can you imagine being at 80K a month, Omir, and then firing all your clients, going down to like 10K? Because you build an identity. At like 80K a month, I had like a 7-figure identity. So I was like this 7-figure guy. I built this identity up to be $1 million business. And I said, because I understood it's not about the business, it's about the person. You see the common theme? It's about the person. So 80K a month, I decided to fire all my clients who weren't in roofing. And I went all in on one niche, one service, one product, one way to acquire clients. And that's when we scaled.
So before we dive into that, because we will, up to that moment, who were your biggest mentors? Where did you learn this stuff? Because like some people are naturally gifted at sales, like you, a little bit like me. I think I had to work on it more, but we're good at talking to people. I can communicate with anyone. But who were you looking up to? Who are you learning from to really get this model off? Or is it just kind of, let me just figure everything as I go?
I was dumb, bro. I was figuring things out on my own. I was super
coaching,
dumb.
No mentorship, nothing like that.
Yeah, because for me, and it wasn't like, I don't know why. I just didn't know that world.
Yeah.
You know what mentors do for me though? They don't tell me what to do, because I feel like I normally know what to do. They actually tell me what not to do. And me learning what not to do saves me the time.
Correct.
So at that time, I didn't really have I didn't have mentors. I was just like, all right, I didn't even know about that world, bro. I was figuring things out. I was stupid. I was figuring things out on my own.
Now, mind you, everybody that's listening, this is like, we're talking about 2015, 2016, 2017. The mentorship world was all books. It was all like Tony Robbins and like network marketing and all this stuff. It was not like really coaching programs like there are today. There were, but you really have to seek them and understand that world exists. Otherwise, I did not really know about it. I thought the only way you can learn is from books and conferences, which fast forward to 2019, February 2019. I remember this so vividly. We go to 10X and we just started finally. I cracked the code on selling. I didn't make my biggest month, but
you were always good at selling. You were always good at selling.
I just had to figure it out.
Good.
And you know what it was? It was crazy because we don't give this guy a lot of props in the space for whatever reason.
Nick Robbins.
I'm always in props. Nope. I love Nick, by the way. Nick, I give him a lot of props. But I vividly remember the conversation that I feel like really shifted Atlas in a sense is when me and Joel drove to see Gallendale with his wife. And
really?
He was the one that told us about contracts. He just put us in our place. He was like, you guys think you're hot shit? You're nothing right now. You're literally losers. We called Marcos. We're like, dude, what the Now, mind you, he would probably admit he was a little bit of a I don't want to say the nicest person, but he came off the wrong way. If you weren't me and Joel, everybody else would have talked shit and would came up. Me and him didn't really care too much. But I remember that conversation, and then because the next week, because this was end of January, the next week we flew to 10X, which is where we met you. We met Ravi Abuvala. We met, dude, that was one of the biggest events ever.
That was
our space. Danny Tran and all these people. Philip from Germany. Dude, all these crazy guys.
A lot of the gurus that you see now were seated at that event, which is interesting.
1,000,000%. And we snuck into VIP. I remember Marcos got us into VIP somehow, some way. He got his picture with Grant Cardone. That was like his dream. And I remember meeting up with you and talking. And at that point, I believe you were doing 6 figures a month.
Like roughly. 80, 90K. Yeah.
80, 90K, right? Maybe like a little under 100. And we were doing like 60, 70. We just started finally like catching up. And then, we lapped you after that event. I was like,
for sure.
We lapped you, but also
I gotta give you props, Amir, because I love Joel, I love Marcos, but you don't get enough credit for what you did in Atlas, bro. Like, it wasn't just the selling side of things. It was the fact that you never saw your role as just a salesperson or a closer. You also helped the business. You were like their third business partner. That's legitimately what you were. You were giving feedback. Agree. You were giving insights. You were like because salespeople, bro, are like the front lines of a business. You're the first person that the business, not only are you the first representation of the company, but you're also the one that has the most data from what the market's telling you.
Correct.
You're the quickest. It's you, right? You're the one on the phone.
Yep. And then, in a way, we ended up hiring like all my friends. So that's really where we started scale, which we'll get into COVID in a bit here. But I vividly remember our conversations. And I remember telling you like my process and this, and we hopped on a call and you're like, dude, you're doing everything right. Just, you need more calls. You need to switch one or two things here and there. And then we literally, we never looked back. I closed hundreds of chiropractors. We went from like 60K to like 250K per month. Solo dolo. I'm the only sales guy. There's another account manager. And then that was when Joel, right, your current business partner, thought about, man, I know how to scale businesses. I know how to scale agencies. Maybe not businesses all the way, but agencies, I definitely know how to scale. And the next time I saw you in person was about 9 months later in November of 2019, which was in Breckenridge. And that's where, so like, talk to me about that year because I want to dive into COVID as well. That year in 2019, like what was for you, because I don't think I ever talked to you about it, but for you, that 10X event, what did it cement to you? Did you feel like you were on the right path? And did you feel like, man, then forget about if I'm on the right path. I at least met the people that are on the right path that can take me to where I want to get to.
You know what it did for me, bro? I think when people start in entrepreneurship, they go through this phase of like solitude. Maybe not for you because you're like a social butterfly, and you also moved in with like Marcos and Joel, etc. For me, bro, I was in the trenches. I was like I deaded all my friends, didn't talk to them. I didn't go out. I would just literally work all day, every day. And we scaled it. Like, I think 2019, we did like 250 or 300K a month or something. And what that event did for me was, and even like, there was some people that were making more, some people that were making less from a revenue standpoint. But what it taught me more than anything else, bro, was that there's other people who are in the same battle. And it doesn't matter if you're making more or less. I respect that you're even willing to go to battle. Because I went to a 10X event like 2 years before, or maybe a year before. But it wasn't the same because that was my first event. Like, I was cool with some people, but they were all like people who were talking about doing it, not actually doing it. I was the only one doing it. The following year, 2 years later, whatever it was, I was surrounded by people who were actively doing it. And I don't know, I gained a lot of respect for people. But as I said, that was a monumental event because some of the people that we look at, like their gurus, was seated in that event.
A lot of them were.
Yeah, bro.
I mean, we just named like 3 big gurus, Joel being one of them, Ravi Abuvala, Danny Tran. I mean, if you look at the picture we have, it's like, damn, these guys are savages, like a bunch of group of savages. So then we meet up at the first 7FA event, 7-figure agency lab.
That was Breckenridge.
Breckenridge, yep, 2019. All of us, the whole squad. I mean, that was to date one of my favorite events ever. I don't know how you feel about it, but I love that event.
I don't remember that event, funny enough.
Bro, that was
all I remember is Mark drugged me. That's all I remember, bro.
Dude, it was wild. Did you get high or what? What did he give you?
Bro, I love Mark. So this is not a Mark bash. Mark, dude, I don't smoke.
Yeah, no, never. I've known Sergio for 3 years. We smoked one time.
Yeah. So Mark, we're sitting down. It was when Pierce and Ryan were doing their show.
Yeah.
So Mark has a gummy in his hand, and I have a sweet tooth, bro. I can't help it. If I see gummies, I'm just gonna it's game over, bro. I'm gonna kill the whole bag. So he goes, "That's a good mouth," and he puts it in my mouth. He just puts it in my mouth, and I'm like chewing. I'm like, "Bro, this is a little funky. What is this?" He's like, "Don't worry, you'll see. Don't worry, you'll see." But it was actually not bad. It's pretty good.
Yeah, but look, that's another event that I think more for our space, because 10X is for everyone, right? Like,
yeah,
real estate. And also, this was specific for agencies. I mean, you look at some of the people from that event, then Tiemann, Piers Grime, Ali Bloyd,
and Katie.
Jordan, Katie, Gigi. I mean, there was a lot of people that scaled to over 100K a month within a year. It was really crazy. Honestly, one of the craziest events because we all caught the wave, right? And then fast forward 6 months later, maybe 5 months, COVID broke out. And I think at that time, I remember Joel. I vividly remember Joel and you, like Joel, like, I don't say begging, but like confronting you to partner up with him, like making it seem like so obvious. And you were like, I don't want to say you were against it, but you were like, you were scaling your agency.
I was kind of against it initially. I don't know if you know, but Joel pitched to partner up in Atlas too.
I remember, and you did say yes, but
I said, but I was like,
yeah, I know that was
because remember, Joel and I would talk late at night, every freaking night. We would call each other. It wasn't that I was against partners, because now I actually believe if you want to get big, you kind of need, if not partners, you definitely need people. Here's what I understood at that moment, and the reason why I hesitated when Joel wanted to partner up initially. Not initially, sorry, on Agency Lab. When you're scaling, bro, what's going to happen is the world's going to throw you some opportunities, but they're like tests to see, like, are you really focused? Are you really as serious about this business as you say you are? And at the time we were doing like 300K a month, maybe a little bit more. So I was like, all right, maybe this is just the world giving me an opportunity, a shiny object to see if I'm really like serious, right? Because I had dozens of people freaking pitching me to partner up. So I was like, and I wouldn't even look at it. I would say no, but I love Joel. I saw we built our businesses separately together. So I was like, I kind of knew he had the same like DNA as me. So I was like, all right. But it was also like inevitable. Like we were going to partner up on we had partnered up on like an influencer thing. Like we did.
I remember there's some traffic funnels, I think, something like that as well.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah. They claim that they took Joel's success. Shake my head. But I think that you can, I mean, when you were scaling your agency, a lot of the stuff that once you hit 100, 150, 200, you took from Atlas Digital. So you already know
systems
whether you like
primarily.
Joel or not, 100%. Whether you like Joel or not, you knew that at least when it comes to scaling your business, 100%.
Joel is massively legit. And what it wasn't even the system. Really, what I took from it was the systems. I didn't have any. It was just, bro, I was running a sales organization. Really, I was running a sales organization that had a really good product. So like if you look at business, it's like you have these orders, you have marketing, sales, you have product, and like or fulfillment, and then like operations.
Yeah.
I had every component but systems and operations. Marketing, like people don't think I'm a marketing guy, bro, but I'm managing $50K a month in ads in my agency alone. And I was managing the sales team, whatever. So, but I do think there's a moment in which you should partner with people, but I think if you're getting started, you should always do things on your own. Let me tell you why. I genuinely believe part of the reason why I feel confident to make decisions now in business is because I see it holistically. I had to, in the agency, build the business on loan. So I had to learn marketing. I had to learn client success. I had to learn sales. I had to learn a little bit of everything. So now when I'm making a decision, I'm considering all departments. Whereas like if I just did marketing or if I just did sales, what happens is you see it from like you have blinders on only from like your department. So you always make the decision that's beneficial to your department as opposed to seeing the whole picture. And the thing is, business is like has legs, right? You need to make decisions that benefit the entire thing, not just one thing. At that moment, systems was the missing key. I still haven't really been able to figure out systems, to be honest.
Well, that's not your cup of tea, I would say. That's
no,
bro. So we entered 2020, crazy year, and believe it or not, people don't know this, and I always mention this. You were supposed to be on that Medellin trip. So people don't know this. The reason I went to the reason I lived there, right, for most of the year is because we went there on a trip and I got stuck and I fell in love. I was like, this is the best city I've ever lived in. It's so cheap, beautiful girls, a great vibe.
Medellin is beautiful, bro. It is beautiful.
Incredible. And the weather is incredible. Like it's 24/7. People are like, when's the best time to come? I'm like, from January 1st to December 31st. The weather is incredible. I'm not kidding. If you look at it weather-wise, which I think has a lot to do with the reason you moved from New York to Miami, which we can dive into in a little bit here. But we're entering 2020 and COVID hits. And at that point, I think you've already kind of started migrating to work with Joel, right? You were selling a lot of people. The only salesperson at the time was Temple.
We were partnered up unofficially, like not on paper.
You wanted to prove yourself to him for some reason. I remember he wanted to pay you, and you were like, "I'm not taking. Nope, don't pay me. Don't pay me."
I'll tell you why he wanted to pay me. No, I didn't want to prove myself.
Yeah,
Joel. If I knew, I never wanted. I learned this from Rich Dad Poor Dad. If you take money, that's an employee. That's why. I never take. Even from my businesses, I didn't take money. It was like a distribution. That's what it was. So for me, it was like, don't pay me, because if you pay someone, you're accepting the employee perspective. And dude, I've never had a job. Like I had little things, but never like a real job. I take distributions, Which is
interesting because what you're doing now is you're helping people get jobs. And we're going to dive into that right now, because I think you were one of, like you were talking about in the beginning, I'm different. You are different, but I think 99.99% of people are not different. By the way, guys, I felt different because I was a token, not because I was like, I'm different. I need to drop out of school at 15 and go, coach people on baseball. That was definitely not the case. And I can't wait to dive into that, because I feel like this is where I can relate with people way more than you can, 100% when it comes to helping them get the jobs, because you never got a job. So we'll dive into that. So
I had like a fake thing. I never had the real interview. I don't even know what an interview feels like, if I'm being honest.
Well, you're getting interviewed right now. I'm just kidding. Okay, so wait, so we get into COVID, bro. I'm always curious. I talk on every podcast about this. Once COVID hits, how did it impact you personally and financially and business-wise? Because none of us were ready. I know roofers were not in business during COVID. Chiropractors were not in business during COVID. So how did you like?
Yeah, that's a good question, bro. When it first hit, I think I was like anyone else. I was like, oh shit, like what are we gonna do, right?
Yeah.
Now luckily the businesses I was running were like online, so it wasn't like physical damage, but the businesses I was servicing, a big chunk of them were offline. I don't know if it was like the fighter in me. I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to go down unless I'm swinging. I actually genuinely thought when COVID hit, I was like, yeah, I'm shutting down the agency. And this is at $300K a month or something, but I genuinely thought I'm going to shut it down. But before I shut it down, I'm going to go out swinging. I'm going to fight like hell. Like you're going to have to take it from me. I'm not giving it to you. So I got on a Zoom call with all of my clients, and I don't know what it was. It was like a spur in the moment. Like, you have those like a natural reaction to something. My natural reaction was to lead, because what it is in moments of like despair and moments of fear, there's always, everyone's like blindly looking for a leader. So I actually think COVID helped me become a better leader because I naturally like to have the responsibility on my back. I'm cool with pressure. I like to have like it's okay if I fuck up, right? I know it's on me. So for me, I saw it as an opportunity to step into a better leader for my clients, the team that I was like, everything, right? So, bro, I called a Zoom call with like, I don't know, I was 100 people on there or more or something, but called a Zoom call and I told them, guys, we're not going to give up. We're going to fight. And at that moment, live on the Zoom call, it was unintentional, by the way. I came up with a virtual selling system that is still used, by the way, by some of the top roofing and solar companies out there, even clients who weren't mine.
Most of them are not your clients because the word spread.
Yeah, well, that's what happened. So live on the Zoom call, I taught them pitch deck sales. And these are some companies that I still see. I see them using my pitch deck. They never even worked with me. So big, massive, like 8-9 figure solar companies, roofing companies, etc. But on the Zoom call, I just said, here's how we're going to sell virtually. And here's how you frame it. And so COVID actually wound up helping us. Now in Agency Lab, at this moment, I was partnered up. Inside of Agency Lab, COVID was great for us, bro. When we officially partnered, like it was official, bro, we like tripled the business.
I remember.
We went from like 150K to like 700K. Just more like me committing to being in it. Mm-hmm. We went from like low 6-figure business to like high 6-figure business, like 100-something K to 700K plus. So it helped us. And I think what it was, that same mentality, we decided to lead. When there's moments of fear, there's the ones who have blind faith win. And we're like, this is an opportunity for us to step into better leaders, you know? Yeah,
I vividly remember this because I was still selling for Atlas, but I was kind of transitioning out.
You were seeing us blow up.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, I remember we met up in the beginning of 2020 in Funnel Hacking Live. I have a great memory. I don't know if you realize this.
But yeah, bro, insane.
Beginning of 2020, January 2020, we went to Funnel Hacking Live to get our 2 Comma Club award, and you gave us a speech in that room that I still remember to this day. Me and Brian still talk about it. Me, Daniel still talk about it. Yeah, we're all like, dude, we can't. No matter what I do, even though I'm kind of doing my own thing now, I still want to be a part of where you're going to. Like, I feel like my exit from Agency Lab was the best exit you guys have ever had in the history of the company. By far. There's nobody else. There's nobody else that provides in the value, and you guys can always rely on me, and vice versa.
I still think you're part of the team, bro.
Yeah, I know. I'm still there, but I'm not. But so wait, this is very interesting because you talked about focusing. That was like a big board. You're like, focus. That I learned from the guy. He said, you're too smart to be at the revenue you're at. Mm-hmm. And I definitely know when you're at 20, 30K per month and you have a few of those businesses, it's maintainable, but it's hard. But when you have 2 businesses that are doing 7 figures during COVID, that is probably the most chaotic time in your life. And I'm wondering, because I don't think I even know this, at what point did you slowly start removing yourself from the agency? Because I remember when I got there, you were pretty much already removed. So it seems like 2020, you were already out.
Dude, the last probably half of 2020, I didn't step a finger inside of the agency. I didn't do anything. And it's because there's different. So everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, but an entrepreneur is actively building something. I wanted to be an owner. Like I own it. And if you own the asset, it means that you're removed. It's like buying a building, right? You're not the one who's going off and fixing the door when it's broken and going off and fixing the tile when it messes up. Dude, I wanted to be an owner. So for the agency, I actually did not show up probably for like a year, probably a year more actually. And it continued to operate and it scaled a little bit, which speaks to really the team and like the foundation that it was built. But I also realized that every business needs was a learning lesson for me because it still semi-operates kind of, but the business actually stood pretty stagnant for like 2 years. Like it was just not growing, not dying, but like there. And what hit me, bro, is that every business needs a driver. Like someone who's got like, let's go energy.
Would you say that's the CEO?
It can be. More often than not, it is.
Okay.
More often than not, it is the CEO.
Yeah.
But like in retrospect, if I would have done it differently, what I would have done is found a CEO. That's what I would have done. And
yeah, because you stepped away. And how did it? Do you even know how it ran? Like because it was still doing.
When I tell you I was super removed, I mean like don't even literally. I would get a financial report. That's it. Yeah, I was removed. I didn't want. here's what I knew, bro. I knew, like, the focus thing again. I knew if I stepped in, I could probably scale it more, but we were already in the process of scaling Agency Lab. So I was like, I have to choose. This is a better vehicle. And I also enjoy helping people. This is like helping businesses, which was different from helping someone who's getting started in business or someone who's just getting started and learning something, right?
Yeah.
So I felt more, and I don't want to say passionate because I don't know if I like the word, but I had more enthusiasm. This was more inspiring to build. And so I went all in on that. This is a good vehicle, but this is like Agency Lab to me was a bigger opportunity.
Which you banked on, and you're right. Again,
yeah,
your intuition has been pretty insane since you were a child. So you're probably gonna.
I think everyone has. I call it the entrepreneurship intuition. You just know something's off. You know, it's like the best entrepreneur. Like or something's on, or this is the right. And honestly, bro, the best entrepreneurs I've come across have that intuition. And sometimes, so being a visionary means you have to create something that's not yet there and get people to be bought into it, right? For me, I don't care to be like the guy. I don't have that. Like, I don't care. But what I do enjoy is creating something that's not yet there. I love, like, I don't know, bro. And part of like this, the decision of what to create comes from an intuition. So it's funny. Sometimes business decisions don't make sense, but they're not supposed to make sense.
Yeah, I mean, every business has its own story, and you can't. This is why copy and pasting. We know people that copy and pasted the Atlas Digital model to a T, and today they don't have an agency because there needs to be a little bit of your own sauce in there, and you need to kind of Anyways, that's a story for another time. So 2020. You removed yourself from the business. By the way, yourself and your two other business partners, Mark and Joel, did the same thing. They were completely removed from Atlas. I mean, Joel slowly started migrating, but I would say towards the end of 2020, I mean, he was out. Like, he was, I remember, like, he didn't even check. Same thing, just financial report, and which, helped him sell the agency eventually. So we to date, I believe, was one of your biggest months even in 2020, which was, by the way, 6 months after COVID was announced. I think it was September or October. August.
We hit like 700, close to 800K if you include PayPal.
And cash collected, guys, not revenue, which is insane. And then we went through a string of craziness, because I actually want you to talk about this, because I don't think you've ever really opened up about this. But we went from being at the top of the mountain, guys. There was no one, in my opinion, in our industry doing what we're doing, specifically focusing on one niche, agency owners, to grow from that to basically half of what we were doing, right? From sales team members finding other opportunities to team members coming, going, man, what did that teach you? Like, because the beginning of 2020 and the middle we're on fire. End of 2020, entering 2021, things were not there all the way there. And I was part of it, and I remember seeing it, but I'm wondering, what did it teach you, and what did that feel like?
Bro, I think for me, you gotta understand, that was the first time in business where things didn't feel easy. And so think about my like journey up until that point. I started multiple different businesses. They all kind of succeeded, and I got a few to really succeed. And then that was the first time where business tested me, and it honestly humbled me when we had that shit show, because that's really what it was. And it was like a strew of bad luck. It felt like we couldn't. It's funny, when people say business is hard, it genuinely is hard, because you could do the right thing for an extended period of time and still not get the result. Because there's anyone who tells you that there's not like a little bit of luck involved, they're lying to you. They're lying to you. Sometimes it's timing, and sometimes obviously you have to be good and like of course, but there's also luck that's involved. For example, it's not lost on me, bro, that I also randomly chose a good niche in the agency. So did Atlas Digital. You guys were at the peak of when Cairo was killed.
100%.
It literally could have been martial arts studios, and we both could have been
dentist.
trash.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. Now, I do believe that over an extended period of time, if you're the right entrepreneur, you're going to find a way to win. I genuinely believe that, but that's over an extended period of time. And the key is, what do you do? How do you maintain the right mindset during that period of time when things aren't working? And I promise you, there's gonna be a moment in which that happens, because it happens to all of us. And I think for me, that was a moment of like the world testing me a little bit. It was like, all right, well, again, let's see if you're really about it. We're gonna throw literally every brick, every like stone, every bat at you, and we're gonna see if like you're willing to absorb the blows. But a lot of learning lessons, bro. Like, I'm actually, and this is gonna sound weird, Omir, super proud of the way that me, Joel, and Mark dealt with that, because I could genuinely tell you there's not much we could have done. And the fact, genuinely, because we tried everything. And the fact that our team stayed with us and there was closers on our team for like 6 months without appointments.
Besides me.
The fact that they stayed with us spoke volumes about the culture we built, about the DNA we have, the team we have. Yeah. And, you know,
they didn't want to leave. I remember the closers did not want to leave. We're talking about some of the top closers in the space. They were like, you were forcing them to leave.
Yeah. Right. I was like, this is the right. I literally, there's some closers where I connected them with opportunities. I was like, I feel like you're not, you know, you're better than this. It humbled us, all of us. It definitely humbled us. It was probably one of my biggest learning lessons.
And what people don't understand, this was so fast. It wasn't like this was like over a course of 2 years. We're talking about with literally from having the record to date of cash collected to a few months later, what the is going on? Facebook shutting us down, suits, like lawsuits, all this craziness out of nowhere within months. I vividly remember, and I remember, man, thinking like, damn, once we make it out of this, it's game over, because most people don't make it out of this. And me as like a front, you know, being up in the company, I saw that, and I can imagine what you guys saw, and I agree. I mean, you guys did try everything. I mean, we're coming up with new offers every other day.
It was like, you know what's funny though, in that moment, because someone asked me this question too, and they said, hey, did you guys consider shutting down Agency Lab? Omir, not a single moment did it cross my mind. You know how I handle stress. It's like whatever to me. I think what I understood, I call it the roller coaster effect. Have I ever talked to you about the roller coaster effect?
I think you have, but share with the audience.
It's kind of like, if you think about, everyone worries when you get, I don't know about you, bro, but I hate roller coasters. I can't stand them. And it's because I like to be in control of things. Like I like to drive. I hate to be the
flying too.
Huh?
You hate flying.
I just hate anything where I'm not in control. All right. I don't know, bro. It just feels weird. Here's what calms me down in roller coasters. When I know that 3 minutes from now, I'm going to be perfectly fine. I'm going to shake. I'm going to dap up one of my friends. Like, bro, that was crazy. If I go into it understanding that, then it helps me enjoy the ups and the natural downs that will happen in a roller coaster. Business is no different. If you just understand that in 6 months, in a year, and it might be longer than a roller coaster for sure, if you just intimately understand that things are going to be okay, otherwise it's not the end, it's going to be okay, it helps you kind of navigate the ups and the inevitable downs when the emotions arise and you're questioning whether or not this is for you, this is the right vehicle, this is the right offer, this is the right niche, this is right everything. You just have to understand that that's like part of the game. So I actually never get too high. I never get too low. I just try to stay even keel. I'm not excited that things are working great. When things are not working great, I'm looking for what flaws we have. And when things are working bad, I'm looking for what we can improve. So
yeah. I would have been pissed if you guys shut down Agency Lab, because I'm like, you guys, I'll take it. I'll buy it. I'll go get the loan and I'll figure it out. Because I mean, to that point, seriously, or let's talk about like beginning of 2021, we've already impacted hundreds and hundreds of agencies. We had a list. I remember, I know you remember this, but at one point, I don't know why you guys took it off, but at one point when people would book with us, it would take them to a testimonial page, and there were thousands. I tell my team this now. I'm like, guys, this is what I want. I remember this, and I remember I'm like, with Fava, I want to do the same thing. I want as many testimonials as possible, because you would be stupid, literally stupid, be an agency owner and not to invest. And I remember thinking like, yo, they're going to make it out of this. So 2021 runs through, Tim shifts, you know.
We built, and I mean this in the most possible way. The most humble way. Yeah. We built probably the biggest brand in the agency space. And like, dude, I love sales. You know, I love sales with me, right? But I actually believe that when it comes to sales, offer beats, like a really good offer beats a really good closer. Like if I'm a closer, if someone said, hey, do you want to skill up or do you want to be in a good offer? I'll take an offer all day long.
Yes, me too.
Now, obviously you want to do both, right? But offer beats sales. But you know what beats offer that no one talks about? Brand. Brand beats both. Brand trumps all of them. And what we did in Agency Lab is create Agency Lab as the biggest brand in the agency space. And brand, it triumphs it all. Think about it. Like, dude, you know, Colgate, like the tooth whitening thing?
Yeah.
Bro, I don't even look if they have a deal. I just buy it because it's the biggest brand. Now, the product right next to it, a toothpaste right next to it, might actually be a better offer. They might have 2 for 1.
Healthier, yeah.
It might be healthier. It might be better. I don't know. But because Colgate in and of itself is like the brand, it's the go-to brand, I just buy it blindly. I don't even think about it.
I was just thinking about that with our mics. Look at every fucking podcast. Every podcast uses Shure mics.
Yep.
Every single one. I'm like, brand beats everything. That's why if you have a brand, you have an offer, and your fulfillment's on fire, it's literally impossible to fail. I genuinely believe that. I think that.
So why do you think most people don't build brand?
Because it's very time consuming. It's very, you don't feel the impact. You're talking to someone that is like an expert at this now. Because I have a brand finally. Yeah. Dude, I get 5 to 10 referrals a day. It's fucking nuts. Like I literally have to turn down business. We got 4 today alone from previous clients, bro. The reason is because I get goosebumps from this shit because you don't feel the impact of a brand for months, if not years, bro. I remember in 2020, a little bit of 21, but mostly 2020, Joel would have me on the marketing agency secrets. I think you guys named what's the Facebook group called now?
7-figure agency?
7-figure agency secrets, whatever. And Joel would have me on podcasts. He would have me go live, this and this. And I'm like, dude, I'm doing this for free, Joel. Like, fuck off. I just want to chill. And he was forcing me to do it. But he was not really forcing me, but he's telling me to do it, telling me. And I didn't realize the impact of it. He told me to do the go high level, the 10K in 10 day. Bro, I still get people hitting me up from it today. This was 2 years ago. It's crazy. The reason people don't build brands is because it takes time. It does take time, just like anything. And you don't feel the impact of it. A good offer, within a week, you can make money. Yeah. Within a week. Yep. But with a good brand, I mean, years
to develop and moments to lose. That's the key.
Yes.
So I agree with everything you said. I also think part of the reason why people don't build brand is because if you have a bad product, it'll expose you faster than anything else.
Yep.
It's hard. If you have a bad brand, or bad product, I should say, your brand is done in a second. So it takes moments to lose it. And it's like a lot to gain. But if you do it correctly, it's one of the most profitable things you could do in business, period.
Which is why we're doing this for Sergio, who just now, after doing everything right in business, finally the missing piece. We all knew this. I've been telling him this for years.
He has.
I really have. If I was a consultant, this is what I would have told him from the beginning, because there's nothing else that you're going to tell Sergio. He's seen and done it all. He's been doing this for 20 years. So we fast forward to 21. I, like what I just said, to date have had the best release party you can say, but I'm still part of the group. A bunch of events. We did, we came back from Costa Rica just now. We did Mexico in 2021. So things started working. And then you guys were like, okay, this agency thing. We love agencies. We love Agency Lab. We don't want it to go anywhere. We're going to continue pouring into it. But there's only so much you can do. There's only so many coaching calls you can have. There's only so much course videos you can do. There's only so many agencies that you guys can, I mean, at this point, you guys have scaled over 100 to 100K per month.
Or more, yeah.
You know what's funny? I guarantee you there's so many more that we don't even know about. Because some of the top people, bro,
they're low key. And I don't blame them. Because they're like, dude, they're like, you talk about the brand thing. Some people just don't want the clout, right?
Yeah, which is you. If you were a student of Agency Lab, you would be one of the people
that would not give a crap.
Nothing. You would never go on there. You would never go on the coaching calls. You would you participate here and there. You might answer a question, and then
it's like Eddie. You never see.
I was just gonna say that.
Eddie's the exact same way. Eddie answers questions. He helps out. He's amazing with the community.
Yep.
He doesn't care to be like,
if you don't know Eddie, like we know Eddie, you have no idea who Eddie is. Like if you don't know him and someone tells you about him, you go on his Instagram, you're like, this guy is a father. Okay, looks like he looks successful, but you don't realize he is the top of the top in the world in what we do. It's crazy. Yeah. So the agency thing kind of started burning out because at some point there's only so many agencies. There's only so much you guys can do. The course is insane. There's hundreds of hours. 30 to 40 hours of coaching calls, hundreds of people in the community, hundreds of people that have scaled. What happened? Like at what point were you guys like, okay, we need to kind of start something new. We need to change the way we're operating. We're not going to shut this down, but there's an opportunity waiting here that we have to take advantage of this. Because I wasn't here for that. And I'm actually curious at what point that come. Because when I left, you guys were still doing the done for you. Agency Lab was the top priority. So I'm assuming it happened, late last year or middle last year.
I got it. First things first, I got to give you props because you called it for a while. And honestly, bro, with the moment you left, I was telling Mark and Joel, these are my business partners, I was telling them we should do it too. But this is the problem. So, at the time I transitioned to the CEO and Joel's now chief client success inside the company. But at the time he had like no role, but he was still face. Joel, he has a ton of different skill sets. Sales is not really his skill set. So I think what it was when I first brought it up, because I brought it up right around the time you left. I was like, you guys, my intuition, remember that intuition thing?
Yep.
My intuition tells me sales offer. I saw, and I'll tell you why I saw it as a better vehicle in a second. But I think they didn't want to do it because Joel's still the face. So it doesn't make it would have been a little bit incongruent, right? And I actually get it in retrospect.
Me too. Yeah.
But Agency Lab, as in and of itself, has such a big brand that's independent of me, independent of Mark, or independent of Joel, right? It's like Agency Lab in and of itself is also a massive brand. And so I think after just seeing the opportunity, we were like, all right, we have to go all in on this vehicle. And the reason we decided to go all in on, it's called remote skills. The reason we decided to go all in on remote skills, you could be the best entrepreneur, but like if you're starting an ice cream shop, there's only so much money you can make. Like if you're starting a hot dog stand, even you could be the Jeff Bezos of entrepreneurs, and maybe you'll make it this massive company. But
you could be Jeff Bezos himself.
You could be Jeff Bezos. You know what Jeff Bezos did? He got into a great vehicle.
Yep.
Amazon is an amazing vehicle.
The best.
The ability to sell one to many, dual revenue streams. It's like insane, right? That's why it blows up. You could also be not that good of an entrepreneur, honestly. I'm telling you, because I've coached a lot, who are in a really good vehicle and blow up. I've seen it. I've seen people who are like probably not as talented as this person. This person's in a vehicle that has constraints. Whereas this person is in a vehicle that is open. It's like driving a Lamborghini. And maybe they're not that good of a driver, but they're driving a Lamborghini. This person's an amazing driver, but they're driving a Toyota Camry. And so if you want to hear the truth of how it happened, I called Isaac, I called Mark, and I called Joel late one night. And I basically screamed at them, bro. I was like, guys, we have to do this. Like, sometimes I can be a little bit too, like,
visionary?
Suggested. Who?
I was gonna say visionary, like the idea.
I struggle with that. So I have all these ideas, and sometimes I'm like, I want to do this and this, but this is how I test my visionary DNA. If I keep going back to the same idea, I know there's something to it. So I said it to them like right around the time that you left, and I let it go. Right? I said it again 2 months later and I let it go. But it kept coming back to me. And bro, it was a similar conversation, that one that you talked about in Breckenridge in front of everyone. It was a similar drive. So I got on the phone with them late at night, and I don't curse. Like I'm not mean. I'll make fun of someone like joking, right? But bro, I was aggressive. I was like, bro, we're doing this. Trust me. Yeah. And it was just my intuition telling me this is the move. And if I don't be aggressive about it, we're going to miss out on one of the biggest wealth transfers, period, going on right now. And so my gut told me to push it. And that's your job as one of the founders. It's your job as a CEO, right? You have to push the team in the direction that it has to be, even if they don't necessarily agree with it initially, which to be candid with you, people didn't. They didn't agree with it initially. But that's where it stemmed from. And dude, it wound up being the best decision we could have ever made, because it was a better vehicle, better offer. We have the ability to serve more people, because the thing is, guys, Omir, you can only make as much money in direct correlation with the ability that you have to service people. And the truth is, there's only so many agencies, bro. There's only so many agencies that we could help. And we've already helped a big chunk of them. And maybe once in a while, someone slips through the cracks and we help them too, right? But I wanted the ability to service and help as many people as possible. I wanted to be able, I'll tell you part of what inspired it. So COVID happened. You brought up COVID a few minutes ago. COVID happened. And it's not lost on me, bro, that a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people had to go bankrupt because now they don't have a job and they still have their home to pay for, and they have kids and they have 1,000 different things to do. And it's like, I see it. I saw that it was a hole in the market. It's like COVID exposed people who didn't have the right skills, didn't have the ability to work remotely. That's what, if anything else, COVID exposed. And maybe it was the world, like it could have been as simple as the world kind of realigning a little bit, because for everyone who thought they were comfortable, 2019, Omir, everyone thought they were super comfortable. It was a good year for everyone.
Crypto.
Even if you worked at 9 to 5.
Crypto.
2020 came and it was like a smack in the face, and it exposed the people who were lacking skills, the people who didn't have the ability to control their income, control their time, control their schedule, control everything. And so I was like, this is an opportunity for us to help all these people, especially because the reality is, if we don't help them, they're not going to help. They're not going to help themselves, because they just don't know it, right? It's not their fault. They just don't know it. Most people don't know. It's like, now I know because it happened to me, Omir. Before the marketing world, before you getting into this space, didn't all this feel like a dream? It's like you don't know what you don't know. Everyone's living like the Matrix. Omir, everyone's living in like this blind world. They don't see it. But the moment you like take the glasses off, you're like, oh crap, there's a different world out there where you can control your income, you can control your schedule, you can develop skills, become a better human being truly, and actually make an impact in the world. You just don't know it. You don't know, but there's a world out there that exists. And I wanted to bring that world to more and more people. And I knew while we have impacted a lot of people inside Agency Lab, I wasn't going to be able to bring that world to as many people as I would have liked inside of Agency Lab. And that's why we started Remote Skills. There's a power and this is the selfish side of me thinking this, Omir, because it wasn't even a money thing. I'll tell you in a second. But I love taking someone from no sight to being able to put those first layers of glasses on and now seeing the world in a different way. Whereas business owners, one of the things that, and I love working with business owners, don't get me wrong, but the downside with business owners is they already see the world in that way. You see what I'm saying? Maybe I could help them clean the glasses a little bit. Maybe I provide some Windex and it's like cleans the wipers, but they don't, it's like, it's different, because you were part of, one of the coaches inside Agency Lab. Yeah. The people that like, we helped them get their first client, that radically changes their life forever. We all remember our first client. I remember my first client that I was able to close remotely, but I don't remember my 40th. I don't remember my 30th, but you remember the first one because that first one sparked a seed in you of like, whoa, this is different. It made it real that this can happen. I always say your first 10K is the hardest and it's also the most impactful. Yeah. And so my hopes was to help them do the hardest thing possible, which is make their first 10K, knowing that with following the hardest thing, it's also going to follow the most impactful thing I could do for them. Because
now you're doing that with Remote Skills, right? Basically teaching people how to talk a little bit about Remote Skills because this is new. A lot of people don't know you guys are doing this. It's not really publicized in Agency Lab too much, I don't think. So it's like kind of, I don't want to say it's low key, but it's definitely a lot on the Agency Lab brand. So, I get where you guys are coming from. You want to impact more people. It's definitely more possible to take people and make them sales reps than make them business owners. I'm not gonna lie. That's the one thing I've always hated about Agency Lab is that we would take people that were working at McDonald's last week and now we're transforming them to business owners. And I think that's, I never liked that. I remember I probably sold, if anyone like that, and I turned those people down all the time because I was like, dude, you're not a business owner. Like you need to get a job. You need to.
You know what it is, Amir? Yeah. It's because there's a gap. So
it's a big gap.
Everyone who starts in building an online business, the reason that online businesses fail, and I'm not a big like guru suck, blah, blah. I don't believe in that. What I do believe is that they don't share everything. The reason that you'll see some people succeed in an online business, honestly, is because they had years of the right mindset trading first. So everyone starts in entrepreneurship and they go through this phase of like watching motivational videos. Did you do that stuff?
Yep.
You watch the David Goggins and you watch
I still do.
Conor McGregor's and the Joe Rogan's. You get inspired, right? Yeah. And those years, maybe you're not seeing the results, but you're building the foundation that's inevitably needed to be able to succeed later on. And so if I'm a Joe Schmo working a 9 to 5 and I quit working at McDonald's to go start this business, honestly, I'm probably going to fail. And it's because I don't have the right foundations yet. And so there's a missing step. And not only do you not have the right mindset, unfortunately, because you just haven't been exposed to it, you also don't have the right skills necessary to be able to succeed. This is why some people, they feel like they have like the golden touch. Anything they touch works. But it's because they have the right mindset, they have the right skills. Business doesn't matter. We're going to succeed. But the reverse is also true. If that's true, which it is, the reverse can also be true. Someone who doesn't have the right mindset, doesn't have the right skill set, doesn't matter what vehicle, what opportunity, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Shopify, whether it's marketing agency, whether it's coaching or consult, it doesn't matter. If you don't have that foundation in place, you're not going to succeed. And the gurus, I don't want to say they have been lying to you, but they just haven't shared the full story. So those success stories that they'll share, oftentimes the people who have done other things went through the grunt work of failing for years, and now they succeeded. Even with you, bro, you were always a beast closer, but it took you how long to get your first deal?
Months.
3 months. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, that's not talked about much. It's not. Yeah. And we've had people even that went through Agency Lab that if they just, maybe they were too new to this entire game. And it wasn't that they were going to be bad at agencies or any type of online business. They could have been successful. It just, they weren't in that phase of their life. It wasn't that season for them. It's like, you can't skip to high school or college. It's a requirement for you to go to middle school and elementary. You have to.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So I think I love this. By the way, shout out to me because I called this October 2020, September and October 2020. I told Joel, I'm like, this is what we should do. I was too new at high ticket sales, and they didn't want me to convert. In a sense, you guys were right because you made me focus on high ticket sales, and I became the top closer. But in another sense, I was like, dude, I could have learned how to do high ticket sales with this. I'm not gonna take too much credit because it ended up me starting my own thing. Because I think if we did what we did now, might still be there. Maybe it would have been too much. Who knows? Everything worked out the way it's supposed to. That's my ultimate belief. Yeah. And as we wind down to the last 5-10 minutes here, Sergio, I appreciate you doing this. First off, it's been over an hour, so I want to make sure I'm respectful of your time. What's your vision with this current company? Like, what do you genuinely want to achieve? Because you've made the impact's there, bro. Like, you can. I hate saying this, but if something was to happen to you today and you no longer are here, you have created thousands of people that will never, ever, ever forget how you made them feel. They will never forget you. You've made the impact. It's already there. So like, is it more impact? Do you want to make a lot more money? Is it more people you want to help? Like what's the ultimate vision with this company? Because this feels like what's really going to take you guys to like consistently 8 figures a year.
Omir, I wish I had it on me right now, but I promise you on my life. And if you want, I'll send you a screenshot of it. But I wrote down years ago when I dropped out of high school, because when I dropped out of high school, bro, I went through this phase of like lost. Like, what am I going to do? Right. I'm doing 1,000 different things and some things are kind of working, but I had no guidance. And again, it wound up being a blessing, but I wrote down on a piece of paper that I'm going to revolutionize the education system. And for the longest period of time, it felt like an overarching, like too far out vision, like too big of a goal. It's like, how do I start? And I used to believe that the way I was going to do it was like through school. Something in schooling. And I realized the schooling isn't the education system. It's the people. It's the people. And you're right that it's not a money thing. Cause dude, I'm gonna be honest. Like I haven't looked at my bank account honestly for like a while. I see like the ins and outs and I know how much money's coming out, but I never really like, oh, I'm gonna look at this money and dude, I'm not like, money's not my biggest factor. Money's important, don't get me wrong, and you need it. And when it comes to business, I'm very meticulous with finances. When it comes to personal stuff, it's not my driving force. And yes, the impact has been had, but now it's not. Yes, impact is a reason as to why, but it's also the fact that I have the opportunity and the team has an opportunity to truly change education, not in the structure, in the infrastructure, in the building, or in the process, but in the people. So our job now, and notice how I call it job. Our job is to create the jobs of the future, because you're not the only one. I'm not the only one sitting down at that desk in college who felt like, what the hell am I doing here? This is not practical. None of this makes sense. And I personally know people who have literally spent hundreds of thousands of dollars investing in education to show nothing for it but a piece of paper. And they're broke and they're struggling. The truth is, yes, a lot of people. The fundamental truth is market sophistication has radically shifted from the moment that the education system as it is now currently was constructed. It's changed radically from the moment that like it was created, and it hasn't caught up with what's going on in this day and age. They don't teach you the new age skills, the things that are actually needed in the right way for you to be able to succeed. And the thing is, as cheesy as it sounds, when you first meet someone, Omir, one of the first things they tell you, they almost identify with their job. That's one of the first. Well, what do you do? Blah blah blah. That's like one of the first things people identify as. It's as unfortunate as it sounds. You become, because it's literally a third of your day, you become your job. I want to create a world in which work and life don't feel like this different thing. I don't believe personally in work-life balance. I believe in harmony, where everything flows perfectly in the most intimate, immaculate way. It kind of goes together, and you have therefore a better life, because most of your day, if you take away the fact that you're sleeping 8 hours, most of your day is spent at your work, your job. I don't want to call it a job. I want to call it part of what you do, part of what you are. So in 5 years, in 10 years, we're creating the jobs of the future. And 10 years from now, when you pull up on YouTube, you're going to see a YouTube creator, for example, who enjoys what he does, who loves creating on YouTube, and he would have gone through the process of learning that skill, leveraging remote skills, because that's the job of the future, something he loves, and you combine the two. That's the goal. So that there is no work and life balance. There's just harmony where everything flows together. And now you're creating a life, because no one wants to create a job. I want to create a life.
I love that. I'm gonna take the word job out of your thing, and I'm gonna replace it to what we do, because in a sense we work together. I get a lot of clients from Agency Lab to date. I help a lot of people. This year alone, Sergio, pretty proud of this. We've placed 137 people. We've done over 330 placements in a year and a half. And the one thing that I started doing is I stopped saying the word job, because jobs are gigs. They're your job here, and then you're Five Guys, and then you're at Top Golf, and then you're here at your job. I'm helping people find careers. People fall in love with careers. Why? Do you remember Career Day? I don't know if you weren't.
I do.
Dropped out of high school.
I do.
Well,
no, I remember it.
But Career Day was like an exciting day, because you're looking for what the rest of your life looks like.
What you're going to become. That's what I'm saying.
Correct.
People identify. It's not a binary thing. Usually we identify as you get older. You just identify with what you are. The first thing you say is, I'm Dr. Kim. I'm a doctor. You identify with it.
Yeah. But imagine if they call it Job Day instead of Career Day, then it wouldn't have been taken as serious, because we don't look at jobs. We either look at jobs as you hate your job, J-O-B. I remember when I was in Vima, we called it the journey of the broke. They literally made fun of people that, they didn't make fun, but it's like, you're at this shitty job, but they never made fun of careers. Like lawyer and doctor is a career, but being a manager at McDonald's feels like a job, right? So I think if you guys, that was just my tip for you. If instead of saying jobs, like we're helping people get jobs, help people find careers. People want something.
Careers are the future. You know what this feels like, Omir? Did you ever see The Social Network?
Of course, yeah, I love that movie.
Okay. You know that movie, in that moment in which he's like, you know what? Remove just call it Facebook.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
That is what it is, because I'm telling you, it transferred. Our clientele have gotten better, and our candidates have gotten better, because I said they expect. I'll give you an example. Today, I had a sales call with a lady, very, very sweet lady. I probably could have sold her easily, but she was looking for someone to do very, very, very part-time work, like 3 to 5 hours a week, maybe 10. And I told her, I'm like, hey, everybody that's applying with us wants a career. They can start part-time at 15, 20 hours a week, maybe, but ultimately they want to move into full-time. She's like, I won't need that for a while. And I'm like, hey, lady, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you the resources, and you go find this on your own, because I'm gonna turn you down, because the people that are applying with us, they want something for the long run. They want to be able to identify with, if you ask my team, if you ask your team, Sergio, what they do, they should feel passionate about it. From top to bottom, from the salespeople to the bottom. And I think most people don't. And that's what you are doing in a sense. That's what I'm doing. And I think together, we really can make a ginormous impact. That being said, Sergio, there's 2 segments, and we're going to end it off. Again, much appreciate your time. There's a segment on here that I call Hire Fire. I'm going to give you a couple examples with where you are today, because I have businesses at all levels. I have people that are at 10K, 20K a month that I'm interviewing. There's people that are that have done, 8-figure business now. I'm going to give you an example with where your business is today, and you tell me if you're going to hire them or fire, in a sense you're not going to hire them at all. So if you were interviewing someone, we'll talk about sales. That's your specialty. That's where you're going to go for. If you're hiring for sales today, which I'm sure you guys are going to hire sales very soon with the way you guys are growing, and this person comes and he's a perfect culture fit. He gets your crazy jokes. He fits in the culture. Everybody gets along with him. Personality is great. Just a positive person. But he has 0 experience. He's never sold anything, nothing, zilch. Great personality, great culture, but 0 experience. Hire or fire?
I'm personally hiring.
Tell me why.
I'm hiring because the most important thing I look for is culture fit. Skills can be developed. Culture is like you either got it or you don't. And that culture is actually the most important thing in a business. And so I'm hiring them because if they have the right culture, part of my culture is that you work hard. And if you work hard, you will develop the skills.
Yep.
So the skills can come after. I know if they have the right culture, right DNA, and the right work ethic, then we can help. That's part of my job. Anyway, my job as the CEO is to make sure that you're taken care of. Make sure you skill up. Make sure you have all the resources that you need to be able to succeed. So if you're truly a perfect culture fit, then I'm hiring them.
What about the flip side to that? Someone super experienced, super skilled, tens of years of experience in sales, sold millions of dollars. And let's even make it more specific. He comes from a recruiting company, helped scale them millions of dollars. I mean, his resume is as good as yours or even Joel's, right? Like up there, but he's not a culture fit. And he's kind of in his own world and he doesn't really fit with the team. Maybe he's an older guy. Maybe he's a younger guy. Hire or fire?
Fire.
So you take culture over experience.
Culture over experience all day. Now the best is if you can marry the two, right? Yes. Like if you're really looking to get hired, marry the two. And I'll tell you a question that I recommend anyone ask when they're looking to get hired by a boss. Now I don't do the hiring anymore in the company, but I've actually trained like our VP of sales.
You did it for many years though.
Yeah, that was my thing.
Yeah.
So I know, and there's certain intangible things I look for, but there's been a handful of times, Amir, when someone's asked me this question, and on the spot, I always hire them on the spot. You want to hear the question?
What animal are you? What animal would you be?
This is the question. It's happened. It's weird, bro. It happened one time, literally once in remote skills, once in agency lab, and once in rolling revenue, the old company. It's weird. Every single company, it's happened once, and hire them every single time on the spot. So whenever someone asks me, hey, Sergio, so, we're at the end of the interview, looking back or looking forward into the future, like 12 months, if things were going great, what would have to have happened for you to believe this was a success? The reason I love when people ask me that question, number one, if you think about it from a business owner's perspective, if someone asks you that question, you're instantly putting yourself 12 months into the future when they're working with you. So it's more likely that I'm going to say yes already. But most importantly, it shows that they care. Like they want to get better. They want to actually be there long term. Because you know, bro, if a wrong hire can cost you more than a good hire. It just like it costs you a lot of time, energy, resources. It's just bad.
Yeah.
So 3 times people have asked me that question, and all 3 times I just hire them instantly. I'm like, yeah, this person's got it. But yes, culture above all else, because you can have horrible culture with a perfect skill set, and you're just not going to take the actions necessary for my companies. Maybe for like someone else, sure. I don't want to like discredit anyone, but it just wouldn't be a good fit. Because to me, part of what makes us succeed is our culture. We have a very specific DNA and a very specific culture that I don't want to be infiltrated by anything that doesn't mirror that energy.
I love it. Last one about this. So let's say you get on an interview and this person was highly recommended. Maybe it was highly recommended by me, by Joel, by sales guy. And let's take it back like a year ago when you were doing the interviews. Highly recommended, Sergio, by someone you highly trust. So not just recommended, but also someone you trust. And on the interview, it's super underwhelming. It's just underwhelming. They froze up. Let's just say the interview did not go that well. But man, they were really recommended. But again, the interview was not very good. Like you were like, what is this guy? Why was he recommended? How do you feel about that? Is that a hire or fire?
Hire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're the first one. Most people say fire. Actually, it's funny.
I hire them because I believe in giving people a chance. None of us would have been here, Amir. None of us, if there wasn't someone that believed in us, even more than in that moment we believed in ourselves. And so when in doubt, I want to believe in someone's ability to improve and to so I would hire them. I think it's sweet if they mess up the interview, because now that first week, they're going to feel propelled to really take action and make things happen that first week.
Yeah. I've seen that too. That's funny you say that. Last question, Sergio, last question. You can take your time thinking about this. I don't know if I've ever asked you this, but I'm trying to think of a timeline of this where this would make the most amount of sense. But you know what? I'll take it to August 2020. 700K cash collected. Probably the greatest sales team you've ever had. Maybe now you guys are better. You claim to be so, but I'll die knowing that. I'll die thinking that at least we were the best. Doesn't matter. August 2020. Best month of your entrepreneur career, most money any of us have ever made, all that good stuff. What would you have done different August 31st? What would you have done different going back? If you were knowing everything you know today, what would you have done different, and how would you have propelled?
Wow, that's a great question. What would I have done differently? The following month, or
just you're Sergio June 20th, 2022. And you'll have one ticket to go back in time to change just the last 2 years. I'm not going to go back to when you were 10 or 15, but you told me that was the biggest slap in the face of your business career, right? Because going from at the top to I mean, man, it was a big drop off. People don't realize that because we didn't talk about it, right? Because we were supposed to be encouraging people, but we were all going through a lot of shit. My personal life, your life, it was just a really crazy time. And maybe you wouldn't change anything and everything worked out, but in a sense, would you? I don't want. People have told me this. I'm not going to change anything. I get it. Okay, like, everything worked out in the end.
Yeah,
but if you were to change,
that's like a cop out answer.
I know.
Like,
I don't. Don't cop out. Don't cop
There's
on me.
learning lessons, whatever. But
don't cop on me. But if you were to go to change everything from August 31st, like this is the day. Boom, best cash collected month. Everything's working well, and this is the knowledge you have today after 2 years, after starting another business, after going ups and downs, throwing multiple events, meeting 8-9 figure entrepreneurs now. What would you have done different in August 31st if you had a chance to go back and, what would that look like?
The only thing that comes to mind. So I actually believe in business. There's seasons of growing and then seasons of healing. What I would have, when you catch that growing season, you have to go all in, like throw more fuel to the fire, because contrary to popular belief, and no one talks about this, the growing phases, they also hit like a road, like a top. They hit a pinnacle, and then you stay there. If not, you drop. But when you catch that wave, you should throw more fuel to the fire. I at the moment, I don't think, when I talk about seasons of growing and seasons of healing, I don't think I understood that I was in a season of growing. I just thought I was like in an in-between. I thought it was like forever. In retrospect, had I identified it was a season of growing, I would have thrown more fuel to the fire, more ad spend, more salespeople, better product. I would have gone all in. And I genuinely believe we probably would have hit an extra 300 or 400K easy just by doing that. Because in business, things happen in waves. So when you catch that wave and you got that thing, you have to double down on it. You have to. It's not going to last forever. I talk about this all the time with people that I coach. I'm like, they're like, oh, my appointment cost is $10. I'm like, bro, go fast. Yeah. The reason, that the personal injury agency, we scaled it to like 70, 80K or whatever it was in like 45 days, something ridiculous. Yeah. You know why it happened, bro? Because the first week, my closers closed like 7. And I called Isaac and I was like, Isaac, triple ad spend. He's like, that doesn't make sense. I'm like, triple ad spend. Just trust me. Because I knew, like, when you're in a growing season, you have to double down. You have to, like, go hard. It's like, it doesn't last forever. But what happens is, if you did the right thing and you went hard without sacrificing product, without sacrificing fulfillment, which I would never do. But in that moment, and when you grew and you went hard, what happens is that cash flow, that extra bit of income that you made, sustains you for those moments in which it gets a little rocky. So it's like you need that. You need that, like, the extra cushion, the extra wiggle room for the moments when it gets difficult, that it's going to inevitably come for all of us. So I would have identified that I was in a growing season, and I would have thrown more fuel to the fire.
More fuel to the fire. Guys, that is how we're going to end it off. Episode, I believe it's going to be 14, but I lost count already. Sergio, I appreciate
you. You do Joe Rogan, bro. You need to do the Joe Rogan. Like, I want to see this 5 years from now, where it says like episode 499,000.
I'm going to keep going.
I want to see.
Bro, I love this because I learned a lot about you today. I learned a lot about the business and your mindset. And I haven't really had a chance to like really thank you, because you gave me an opportunity to do what I'm doing now. And I know you guys use me as the face of, in a sense, of the remote skills. And if people are watching this, they've watched it this far,
you're going to blow up. I did that on purpose. You know how you say that, like, we threw you into podcasts or like live in the group, and bro. So it was between you and I won't say the other person. I won't say the other person, but it was between you and one other person that we wanted to kind of brand as like the case study. And I was like, nah, make it Omir, because this is going to help Fava. It's going to help you blow up too. Like, it's kind of like the things what you do with the live. It's like, bro, we're spending $100,000 a month on ads. And your face is being seen, And I actually mentioned that now you're a business owner. I tell them
the right way, bro. I tell everybody
you did it the right way. You built the skills, you built the mindset up. Because if you would have started Fava when you first got started,
I wouldn't be here today. There's no way. And people don't talk about this, bro. I had money. I have money. So if everything falls with Fava, I have a skill I can go back and sell for any company in the world. Imagine if I put my resume out. You guys would beg for me to come back right now. I can go work for the top guys. So I tell my company, this is why I'm focusing so much on the product. And right now we're in the healing phase. We're not in the growing phase, because we're focusing so much on the product. Because I know how good I am in sales. Dude, I closed 10 people in the last 2 weeks. And I'm like, guys, this is a joke. Like, if I get on calls,
you could do it all day long. You could do it all day long.
All day. So for me, I did it the right way. So if you're watching this, I talked about this, and I'd love to be back on with your people, the same people. Some of them are actually still connected with me. Shout out to John Vick, I believe his name is. He still messages me. Great guy. But 4 years ago, it was exactly 4 years ago, bro. I was in the other room because I'm in the office near my room. I'm in the other room, which is my bedroom, not knowing anything about my life, driving for Uber, like by myself, like not having a direction. My only thing I was looking forward to was working out in the gym, and that's it. And then now I have the opportunity I've traveled to 8 different countries in the last 2 years. I am, making more money than I've made before in sales. We're growing a business. I have a team of 10 people. Wow. I'm genuinely being able to help people on a regular. I tell my team, every person on my team has the opportunity to change someone's life. From my video editor with editing my videos, to my recruiters, to my interviewees, to my connectors, my account manager, everybody has the opportunity to do that. And you were one of the people that mentored me. You took me under your wing, and you saw something in me I didn't see in myself. Same thing with Joel and Marcos. And I just wanted to thank you, not just for doing the podcast, but because I really don't believe I would be where I am today as fast as I got to it. Because I'm only 27, bro. Most people don't figure this life out. Insane. I believe in their 30s and 40s.
Omir, Joel called me wanting to fire you.
I remember in late 2018, he told me.
And I told Joel, I was like, this is the first time one of the first times I told Joel, I was like, bro, you're messing up, dude. Like you can't, because I know you're like one of the best recruiters in the world. Sometimes people will try to bring someone on board without any resources to succeed
at all. And
it's like, then they blame the person. It's like, bro, you have to be like, that's your job as the leader. You have to be there to help the person win. And obviously, they've definitely gotten better, but at the time they didn't have the resources to help you succeed. And you had the raw skill set. You had the raw energy, the raw mindset, the right everything. You were just missing the training. That's really all it was.
Man, the biggest thing for me was showing up. And I think for you guys, if you guys can close the gap, this is where I think this is a different conversation. Maybe we'll have a different podcast about this. But if you guys can close the gap of going from physically working for someone to the remote world, it's a big difference, bro. I promise you on my life. Doesn't matter if I talk to you, Nick Robbins, Gallant, doesn't matter, any of them. If Marcos and Joel didn't force me to move to Colorado and work with them the first 3-4 months and me being there, I wouldn't be here today, 100%. Because I did the same thing with Ethan and it worked, I remember. And then eventually we didn't need to do that. We figured it out. But I think that's the biggest gap for you guys, because we're working with virtual assistants. I'm looking for experienced people. You guys are taking people that worked at McDonald's yesterday or at corporate sales where they're used to driving. I'm telling you, it's a really different ballgame. That's where what he talks about this in the space is the gap of closing the physical location of where you work to remote work, right? That's where your name is Remote Skills, right? So it's like, that's going to be a gap you guys have to talk about, because the discipline you have to create for yourself to be able to roll out of bed and walk to your computer and do the same executive work. Man, that is hard. Me and you, for us, it's a joke. I literally have my iPad in my bed and I can work at any point. I'm like you, we work every day. I don't really take days off, right? Some days I work more than others, of course, but that's going to be a gap that's very interesting to close, because
that's a great point, because it takes a lot of self-discipline to be able to force yourself out.
A lot.
Yeah.
That's a huge gap. I mean, there's a lot of things that they need to look into. That's why I think the people that are going to be most successful in your company, not your company specifically, but the companies you guys are going to help, are people that have had sales experience. Because if you were flipping burgers in Five Guys and now you're learning to do remote sales, I mean, dude, the discipline that you have to create for yourself is insane. And this is where the work-life balance comes in, because this person also has to create a discipline in his personal life, like going to the gym, right? Like stop watching porn, like things like that. That sounds crazy, but if you have to create those disciplines, otherwise for you to go from flipping burgers to becoming a 6-figure income earner is really hard. People don't realize that. And I'm telling you, if you guys really want to scale that, this is a gap that you guys have to figure out how to do. The most successful people for you guys are going to be sales reps that I sold software and I drove 9 to 5, but at least I sold something. And then the other ones are going to be, they're a work in progress. And man, the best part is that it's fucking possible. It might not work for everybody. Just like Agency Lab, there are people out there that freaking wanted to sue us.
You know who joined Remote Skills today? Remember Nigel Harmon?
I do remember him. He was martial arts. He joined Remote Skills today. Because he was like, bro, the agency. He's going to slay, bro. He's a beast.
He's a beast. He's going to crush it. Yes. He was like, the agency game is just too hard. It's like too much going on, lots to do.
Yes.
You're not worried out. The business, people don't talk about this, bro. But like, if you really want to make, you know, Temple was making money in his agency and went all in on closing and made 3 times as much money as he would have if he just.
Wow. He's one of the top closers. People don't realize he's literally one of the top. Savage as fuck. And some of this, I mean, he's one of my close friends. Some of the stuff that he's working on now is going to really change the game. And you can talk to him. The transition he made from business owner to closer changed his life forever. And then, you know, working with Joel, Iman Gotzi, and Cole Gordon. I mean, he literally worked for the best of the best in the space. But Temple was already talented, and he got really, really good over time, and the opportunity was great. So everything fell in his lap. I don't want to say fell in his lap, but everything presented it.
He also works hard. Like the thing with Temple,
fucking beast, dude.
Like Temple, when I would do sales training with him, he would ask such quality questions, bro. It was almost like I always say the quality of your life is all dependent on the quality of your questions. And he would ask some insane, like next level questions that actually forced me as like a coach to think like, how do I, because you know, when you're first getting into sales coaching, what happens is, you know, things innately that you'd never put on paper. I never put frameworks on paper, right? And now I have, obviously, but at first I didn't. It was just more like, bro, here's why I do it. Here's what I do. Yeah. He forced me to bring a lot of it out, and he had a lot of crazy raw talent. He was always a beast, but it's because he takes it. There's this book that I recommend anyone who wants to get good at, like on a remote job. It's called Turning Pro.
I've heard of it.
It's by Stephen Pressfield. Bro, if anyone reads this, the first 3 people that ask you for it, Omir, send them to me and I'll personally buy it for them. It's a book that I recommend to anyone who's getting into remote jobs, because it forces you to take it serious. It's like, be a professional. This is like, you have, like, there's a difference between like doing it as like a hobby and being like a pro. Like, this is what I do. This is my life. I'm taking this serious. Those are the ones who succeed.
Man, we can ramble on, Sergio. I love this. And I know I'm going to have you back on. I literally have to. I want to have Joel back on. I want to have, first time, and Mark and your business partners. Man, I learned a lot. I know if you've listened this far, you learned a lot. If so, tag me, call me, let me know. You probably don't.
Last thing. Omir, I freaking love you, bro. You're literally one of my favorite people in the world. And I've never had a brother of 3 sisters. You're like a little brother to me, bro. I'm so inspired by what you're doing, and I'm excited to not just do life with you, but I'm excited what you're going to accomplish. Like 50 years from now, bro, when we're looking back and we're like 80 years old and gray and all that bullshit, we're going to say, wow, the journey that we like went through together. So I love you, bro.
Yeah, I love you too, man. It's been a pleasure. If you watch this, subscribe, like, share with your friends, share with me. Let me know what you guys learned. And I'm going to keep coming, because I got Joshua Johnson coming this week. We're talking to Eddie Malouf potentially having one. So the future's bright, guys. And don't fucking give up. Peace.
All right, bro.